Hello everyone, and welcome to this edition of Africa Weekly News with Joseph Sakala. Starting with the AU. Some members of the AU have come to condemn the granting of Israel as an observatory country in the AU. Some African countries, they have criticized the decision, saying how can they grant Israel to be an observatory country in the AU or African Union whilst they do things which violate human rights, such as invading and occupying some parts of Palestine. Some other African countries have said the vote was illegal and it wasn't even supposed to stand. So they have suspended it and they are going to review how they granted Israel the observatory status in the AU. Chances are that Israel's observatory status will be scrapped from the AU because a lot of African countries are against such kind. They are saying it is not an observatory role, rather an invasion on African affairs. Kenya has come under criticism from the environmental body over calls to weaken forest protection areas. Under the contentious amendment, anyone who wishes to alter forest boundaries to claim land ownership could lobby the Parliament directly.
We know what happened before the Act, when individuals could give out land. We don't want to get back there. I think the best thing we can do is to empower the community, empower Kenya Forest Service to protect the forest more. If there's anything that should happen is actually to empower the bill, to empower the state agency and the community to protect the forest better. Yeah. If it happens to get through, and we don't hope it will, that will mean now we lose the forests, because the current act is very well protecting the forests as they are now, because since it was enacted, we've not had any successful excision from the forest. But if it goes through that anybody can go petition Parliament and the forest boundaries are altered, that will open Pandora's box. Everybody wants a piece of the forest, which is very, very dangerous for our forests and our future.
Environmentalists says they were blindfolded by the proposal, which they say it will shift power from a dedicated government agency with a record of fighting land theft to political elites to win the bitterly contested elections. They now claim more forest land is at risk. Teachers in Zimbabwe have gone on strike just days after reopening schools after a prolonged closure during the pandemic COVID-19.
The government should respect teachers so that our children can also learn at school. We are just coming out of lockdowns and now the schools are open but no learning is taking place. What kind of future are we building for our children?
They are neglecting their grievances. So at the same time they are working. At the end of the day they expect to be paid. Unfortunately, that pay is not forthcoming. The RTGs that they're having is already eroded on a daily basis. There are parents, they also do have kids to take care of.
Teachers have been reduced to paupers. They're living in poverty. Teachers can't even afford to pay school fees in the schools where they ordinarily teach. We know there's an ongoing academic genocide. We are losing a whole generation, a generation that is now engaged in child marriages because they can't be in school, a generation that is taking to drugs because they cannot be in school. So at the end of the day, now that schools have failed to open once again, our call to government has been to immediately restore the value of teacher salaries.
Some schools in Harare were opened on Thursday, but not all teachers were in attendance according to the Teachers Workers Union. The government and unions are locked in a heated dispute over teachers' salaries. The government responded by offering a 20% increase of teachers' salaries in US dollars, as well as subsidies when they want to purchase a car or a house, which teachers rebuffed and say this is too little of their expectation. In 2018, teachers in Zimbabwe earned about 540 Zimbabwean dollars a month. But the amount has decreased through years of inflation, currently estimated at 60%. Let's go for a quick break. We'll be right back. The Sudanese female activist was released. Amira Osman was released from jail following a 2-week detention. The prominent social society leader was held incommunicado since January 22nd. She says armed men wearing civilian clothes stormed the house and she was arrested and imprisoned in a woman's prison. She campaigned for human rights and women's rights even in the reign of former President Omar al-Bashir. Members of the South African opposition are now reacting to President Cyril Ramaphosa's State of the Nation address, stating that he's going to take decisive measures to cramp down corruption. The president quoted an article stating the July 2020 riots which happened in South Africa. Published this week, the president said the government handling was not proper and swift. The speech was held at the Cape Town City Hall and for the first time since South Africa's democracy. This came about after the South African Parliament or the Assembly House was burnt down this January. A lot of people criticized the president of his address, saying he lacked emotion and conviction. The International Court of Justice has ordered Uganda to pay $225 million to Congo in compensation for violence in a long-running conflict between the neighbors. That began in the late 1990s. The compensation order came more than 15 years ago after the UN court ruled that the fighting of the Ugandan troops in the Congo was a breach of international law. Kinshasa had originally demanded $11 billion, which Uganda protested off. The court broke down the damages into different categories. It asserted $225 million to loss of life and other damages to people. That included rape and displacement. It asserted another $40 million to damage of property, another $60 million to damage of natural resources, including the plundering of gold, diamonds, and timber. There was no immediate reaction from Kampala over the ruling of the International Court. The Guinea-Bissau president has accused the former national commander of the Navy and 2 other men who were arrested before in the United States by anti-drug agency as being behind as what he described as an aborted coup. The president emerged unarmed after hours of gunfight with the people who wanted to attempt a coup. And he says 11 people were dead, that is according to government release of information. Guinea-Bissau, a country of about 2 million people in West Africa, is considered as a hub of cocaine trafficking from Latin America. The EU has lifted sanctions on a country of Burundi. Residents in the largest city in Bujumbura are relieved, and they hope that this decision will relieve the fragile economy. The country was sanctioned more than 6 years ago after accusing Burundi of violating human rights. The EU used to be the country's biggest donor. This has been the Saturday News with Joseph Sakala. Please support this channel by subscribing, turning on the bell notification, liking and commenting on the video. See you next time.